Its founder and CEO, Brad Gerstner, is with us now to talk about that, the broader tech landscape. It's good to see you again. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you and the gang. Looks like Steve's on fire to start the show.
Yeah, what else is new? It's a big day for you. Congratulations. But honestly, I think what maybe is the most interesting part of this whole story is that you looked at this before and you gave it the Heisman. And then you came back because you admitted that you missed something. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm not sure if I gave him the Heisman or they gave me the Heisman. But, you know, listen, we've been studying this landscape for a really long time, Scott. The gaming landscape is changing. When we watched games over years, it was a hit-driven business. And now gaming, I watch my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old play, and it's at the intersection of how they communicate with their friends. It's at the intersection of creativity in these communities, at the intersection of entertainment and even commerce. And so we're enthusiastic about gaming generally. We're investors in several companies in the space, as you know. But Roblox is an extraordinary community. We got it wrong. We're thrilled we partnered with them to help them bring them public.
Yeah, everything you just said, I hear you. I think, you know, everybody's kind of feeling what you said about, you know, kids and being together and all that. Yeah, I mean, during a pandemic, sure. Well, what about after?
Well, the company has given a guide that there's going to be deceleration and normalization in a post-pandemic world. And, you know, it reminds me, you know, a year ago, you and I were here and had somebody told us that we were going to have a huge deceleration in April because kids were going to be back in school, you and I would have been celebrating, right? Like, I would much rather have deceleration. I would much rather have the 10-year going up. I'd much rather have growth multiples, you know, contracting, but know that we saved ourselves from this plague. And so, you know, we invest in the company knowing that there would be some natural deceleration, but the underlying trends in that business are phenomenal. This is a business that is exploding around the world with this amazing community of creators and users who are on the platform every day. You know, think of it like YouTube, where every day it's a new experience because the ingenuity of these inventors, like my kids, who get on the platform and create amazing things.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the valuation of where it is today based on the listing, $30 billion. Wasn't it just like $4 billion less than a year ago or just about that? What does that say about, you know, where we are? I know there's a lot of optimism about this listing. That's undeniable. But from $4 billion to $30 billion in basically a year, if not less?
Well, listen, Scott, as you know, we invest for the very long haul. And our team did its work. We've tracked the company for a very long time, you know, and so, yes, it sounds extraordinary, but two things I think to point out. Number one, when it raised that capital, we were at the front end of a global pandemic. None of us knew. None of us knew what was going to happen, right? I remember you and I talking after that March 24th show, exhausted and worried about the state of the world. And so I think the investors who were taking the risk at that point in time in the company, right, looked around the table and said, you know, we're going to hold hands and jump, and this is a fair valuation. As it turns out, two incredible things happened. Number one, it became part of an indispensable platform for kids to communicate and create. It introduced the platform to tens of millions of users who had never seen it before, who continue to love it. On the other side of that, we came up with a miracle cure. You know, the system that we like to tear down of entrepreneurial capitalism produced the greatest vaccines known to mankind, and we're getting back to work and we're normalizing. Both of those things are terrific outcomes. This company will be long enduring. Remember, for 15 years, it's been growing, and we expect it's going to grow that way for a long time to come.
You think it can grow its user base to, you know, beyond whatever age is the wheelhouse right now? Can it draw older kids, or however you want to refer to them? But you get the gist of what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I remember people when they looked at Netflix in the United States and it had, you know, 20 million subscribers and said, just think, could it ever have 200 million subs, right? And they blew through that number this year. And so when you think of Roblox, you know, I see a future where there are 1 billion people around the planet creating, communicating, interacting on the platform. And to your question about age, it's really fascinating. I think they disclosed at their analyst day that over almost a third of the platform today is over the age of 17. So I think the question as to whether or not this is a hit game, a fad-driven game for kids, has been asked and answered. And certainly as part of our investment thesis, we believe it's not only going to be used by folks of all generations, but we think it's going to be used all around the world.